Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're talking about 5 great games from 1995 and our continuing quest as we talk about on the Dice Hour channel, of course, new great games, but we also like to go back and take a look at games from years gone by. So we're going to take a look at 5 cool games that came out in 1995 in no particular order. Well, we are starting with the most famous game to come out in 1995, and a game that there is no question changed the hobby, and that would be Catan, or as it was called in 1995, The Settlers of Catan. This game from Klaus Teuber changed the world. It is directly responsible for games coming from Germany and landing in America. If you're watching this video and you've not played it, which is possible, you'd be one of in the minority, I think, of people watching this, because most people have at least heard of Catan, a game with a hexagonal grid in which you're placing out little settlements and then turning them into cities, rolling dice to produce resources, trying to build the longest road, get the largest army, and trade resources back and forth with each other as much as you can. It has many spin-offs, many expansions, many things, but the base game itself has entered our modern lexicon. It is a game many people recognize, and it came out in 1995. Also in 1995 was El Grande. Now, El Grande has won many awards, of course, overshadowed by Catan. Nowadays, if you look at the board of El Grande, which is a map of Spain, it does not look particularly beautiful, and even redone reprints of the game over the past couple decades have not really done much to improve that. But El Grande is known for bringing in an area majority. It made this popular, where in this game you're putting little pieces, El Caballeros, onto the different regions of the map, and whoever the most would score a certain amount of points, the second most a certain amount of points, the third most a certain amount of points. It also had a big Castillo tower in the middle in which you would throw cubes so that could go somewhere else. It also had a very cool card selection mechanism. That part of the game has not really been seen in many other games, but the area majority part, the part where you controlled the different things on the board, that part has been copied in many, many other games, and El Grande was the first. Pitch Car came out in 1995. Back then, though, it was called Carabande. This is a big wooden track, wooden pieces you put together, puzzle pieces, and then you are flicking discs around it. Now, of course, the more well-known flicking disc game, Crokinole, has been out for many, many years, where you try to flick these discs into a center hole. But Pitch Car, it was a race. You just race them around the track. And the idea of this is still fun. It is still being played today. It is a big, heavy, and I mean physically heavy, and a somewhat expensive game, but it's also the kind of game that you can bring out at a family gathering, and everyone's going to gather around and play this game. It is a game that I take to conventions and have a lot of fun with. I think it's fantastic and works for all ages. The idea of flicking things around a track just is fun. That's Pitch Car. Mystery of the Abbey from designer Bruno Fedduti came out in 1995. Mystery of the Abbey is, well, it's a better Clue. There's no doubt about that. Sort of based on In the Name of the Rose short story, someone has been killed in an abbey, and you are trying to figure out which of the friars has done it. Now, this game, a few years later, really reached the zeitgeist. It was designed in 1995, but it later reached the zeitgeist because Days of Wonder made a very beautiful production of it, and that's the production that most people, including myself, look at and we think about when we talk about Mystery of the Abbey. But this game here, in which you asked other people questions, you could ask all sorts of questions, trying to narrow down on a sheet of paper which friar done it. Was the friar wearing a hood? Is the friar fat or thin? Which order are they from? And as you slowly narrow down, you can figure out who did it. Of course, Bruno Fedduti throws in just a bit of chaos into the game to keep it interesting. That's Mystery of the Abbey. And then we have the Bottle Imp. Now, this is the smallest of the games on my list. It's one that you may have heard of the least, but the Bottle Imp is a trick-taking game that particularly works well with 3 players, which is an unusual thing. This is based on the famous story from Robert Louis Stevenson, in which a bottle would give you basically anything you want, but then at the end of your life, your soul would be taken. Unless you sold it to somebody else, but you had to sell it for a lower price than you bought it for. That's what this game is based on, as you are trying to win tricks in this game with different numbered cards. The lower number, the very low number, can win a trick, but then you get the bottle, and if you have the bottle at the end of a round, you are going to score negative points instead of positive points. So you are trying to get someone else to play a lower card than you to force them to take that bottle. It's a really nice concept. It works really well. Like I said, fantastic at 3 players. It's been reprinted, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, but I still think it holds up well. It's definitely worth hunting down. That's the Bottle Imp. So those are 5 great games from 1995. As a bonus, my favorite video game from 1995 is Star Wars Dark Forces. I was very excited when this came out because it was I like the 3D shoot 'em up style games, and having one set in Star Wars was fantastic. Nope, there was no lightsabers, no Jedi at this point. You were just running around fighting stuff that to this day is still showing up in Star Wars lore and canon. A lot of stuff came from this video game, but it was just so fun and neat to be playing in the Star Wars universe. My favorite movie from 1995 is Braveheart, classic movie with Mel Gibson, and just for me, of course, the sweeping battle scenes, especially the very first giant battle of Sterling, just an amazing sequence there. Now it's kind of almost people, know all the different parts of that, but still seeing it for the first time and just getting excited. I know it's not historically accurate at all. Don't care. It's a fun movie. Anyway, those are things I loved from 1995. Thanks so much for watching, folks. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower.